There's been a pretty important update as it pertains to the exclusive NFL simulation license, and in this video we're going to talk about what's going on. Now, if you've been around my channel for a while, you know we talk about the exclusive NFL license when it comes up for renewal or it gets kind of close to that time, and every year we kind of end up in the same situation. Maybe the NFL will open it up, we hear that 2K and other companies are potentially talking to them, and then they eventually just renew it with EA for about another 5 to 6 years, and it remains exclusive, and it's been that way all the way since 2005. Since that time, EA has been the only company allowed to make a simulation NFL video game. Of course, we've seen other companies make arcade-style games, even 2K recently, but no simulation games. Now, if you are new to the channel and you want to stay up to date on topics like this or other Madden, NFL, and college football related topics, make sure to subscribe and turn the bell icon on. Especially soon, we're going to be getting a ton of news for College Football 26 over the next few weeks, and you're not going to want to miss it. Now, over the past few months, we've talked about the possibility of the exclusive simulation NFL license potentially opening up, because after what happened last time around, it was said that NFL was really considering opening it up about 5 years ago when they last renewed it. It was the closest it's ever been, at least that's what sources had said. And now this time around, what we found interesting was that the NFL has not extended the license with EA yet, and normally they would have done that by now because they only have a year left on the deal, and typically by now they would have renewed this months ago. So it kind of left people thinking that, hey, maybe it finally is going to be opened up, and maybe 2K is going to be able to kind of compete and make a game if they so choose. And as more and more time has passed and the deal still was not extended, it kind of was looking like a 50-50 shot. In fact, a source at EA told a reporter who goes by the name of Mike Straw that they kind of thought they had, a 50 to 60% chance of keeping the license. But I mean, that's a toss-up compared to how it's been for the last 20 years. Well, some things happened recently, and it looks like that there's a pretty good chance this license could stay exclusive with EA, and I'm going to tell you why. Now, the first big thing that happened about a week ago is 2K came out and said that they were pretty much ending their mobile NFL game that they had just released not even a year ago. They went on their Twitter and said, "To our NFL 2K Playmakers community, we've made the decision to sunset NFL 2K Playmakers on June 30th, 2025 at 12 p.m. Pacific. After this time, the game servers will be shut down and will no longer be playable." And they also went on to just say some other things here about gifting the community some tokens in the meantime as a thank you. They say, "Thank you for being part of the NFL 2K Playmakers community. We appreciate every one of you." And, some people in the comments under this are a little upset and things like that. But the most notable thing here is not that many people cared, because not that many people played the game. I mean, their Twitter following for this game is only about 2,600 people. And let's be honest, I mean, I've even shown the 2K Playmakers game on this channel when it was announced. It's just not the game that people wanted. Now, we knew when they got back in business 5 years ago with the NFL to make arcade games, we knew that they would make a mobile game or maybe even multiple mobile games in the time span, but what we all were waiting for was that big console game that was going to be the one that most people were interested in. Even though it wasn't simulation, we knew it was a 2K football game, and even in this day and age, if you make a really good arcade game like Super Mega Baseball as an example, people will buy into it and have a lot of fun with it, even if it's not a one-to-one simulation. Now, we're going to talk more about what happened and kind of how the NFL feels about everything and where the license is going. But really quickly, I want to shout out today's video sponsor, Underdog. If you like sports and you like winning money, then you've got to be on Underdog playing their pick'em game. Basically, all you have to do is either pick higher or lower on player stats, and if they hit, you can win some big money. But my favorite thing about Underdog is when you sign up, they give you free credit to play with, and they give you a free play right out the gate to help you win. So for example, right now during the NBA playoffs, when you sign up, there's pretty much games going on every day. They're going to give you a free play. Like, for example, for tomorrow's game, they're going to give you Donovan Mitchell to score a single point. That means all you have to do is get 1 point and that's it, you win. And no matter when you sign up during the playoffs, they're going to give you a star player for whichever team is playing that night to get a single point. And if you sign up using my code RAY, R-A-Y, they're going to also give you up to $1,000 in bonus credit to start with, and you just can't beat that. Now, shortly after 2K announced that they were ending the Playmakers game less than a year after it had been released, obviously the NFL wasn't too happy with this. And I don't think they were necessarily unhappy with just the game kind of being put on the shelf, but more so that the game just did not perform well, which really isn't a surprise to us because we know this really wasn't the type of game that people wanted. Not only was it a mobile game, which already, makes it a toss-up, it really wasn't even a good mobile game. There was no gameplay to it. You basically just kind of drafted a team, had players player cards, and then the plays that happened on the field were just kind of simulated. They would just show a play happening, but you were not controlling any of the on-field gameplay. You weren't throwing the ball, catching the ball, running the ball, and at the end of the day, who is this game really for? Who wanted that? What we all wanted was a console game, and we knew we were going to get mobile games, but the console game was going to be the thing that really drove this partnership with the NFL and 2K. And here we are 5 years after they joined up again, and we still haven't gotten the console game. In fact, it's been restarted multiple times, and apparently right now it's kind of been put on pause. So you get back in the door at the NFL, and after 5 years, all you have to show for it is a mobile game that's not good and doesn't even have actual real gameplay. So it's understandable to see why the NFL would be unhappy with that. Now, how do we know the NFL is unhappy with that? Well, we're going off the word of Mike Straw of Insider Gaming, and if you've been around this channel, I've mentioned him, 20 or so times over the years. He always gets leaks and information from Madden and just other things surrounding sports games. He's always pretty much right most of the time. Nobody's right 100% of the time, but he's been right about leaks and information plenty in the past. And he came out a few days ago and said on his Insider Gaming show that the NFL was not happy and that EA pretty much feels like they're kind of at a 90% chance of re-signing that exclusive deal. He also went on Twitter after that and kind of just summed up what he spoke about on his show. He said he's been told that the NFL was not happy with the 2K playmakers and how it was received. Development on the other NFL games also hasn't gone well, with no real confidence around the league right now. EA is even more confident that they will retain the exclusive license. And this is really the biggest thing, right? It's not so much that, again, 2K playmakers got put on the shelf. I mean, it's not a good look, but it's more so just about everything surrounding it. The game was not received well, which is why it had to be shut down. And the fact that they still have not gotten a console game out after having 5 years to start working on it, that is not something that's going to put a lot of confidence in any partnership and any company that's working with you. I mean, even for us as the fans, I've been seeing people over the last couple of years saying, this 2K game's never coming. They don't even think it's real at this point, because after 5 years, I mean, what are you supposed to think? And I think where they really messed up, in my opinion, was that they put the mobile game out first. And maybe that was always the plan, but I just think when you finally, after all these years, got a partnership with the NFL again, even though it was for arcade-style games, you can still make a banger of a console game. You can make a modern NFL Street or NFL Blitz and just have it have more depth than it did back on PS2 days. You could have, an open-world street game, kind of like how you have the city in NBA 2K. A lot of people have kind of grown tired of that, but that's because NBA 2K is supposed to be a simulation game, and it kind of bogs down the game. But if you just made a standalone open world NFL Street game and you actually made it with good customization, good gameplay, good depth, people would be very into that, I think. And I feel like that's how they should have went about this. Instead, we waited up until 4 years, and then the first thing they finally put out is a mobile game where you can't even really play it on the field. It's just a bad look that after all the time you had to work, that was the first thing you put out there. And the game did so bad that, like I said, less than a year later, you're having to put it on the shelf now. So with all that being said, if the NFL isn't confident in 2K anymore that they can't even put out an arcade game, then it's a lot less likely that they're going to open up the sim license and let them compete with EA. Now, again, we know 2K is capable of making good games, whether it be arcade or simulation. Even if you have, your issues with modern NBA 2K, obviously, they've kind of lost the plot a little bit. I know EA gets a bad rep for some things sometimes too, but I think 2K, over in NBA 2K, they've lost the plot, more than EA ever has. Because if you look at kind of the stuff they're putting in 2K now, they've got go-kart racing, and they added a new game mode this year that's just the furthest thing from basketball. And again, I think the rest of 2K has always been a solid game. They've always had really good gameplay, in my opinion. They've always had the good single-player modes, like, their franchise mode, is further along than EA's is. Their career mode is certainly further along. They have a whole park, right? I know people have grown tired with, like, certain things not getting as much updates over the years, or some bugs that have been kind of existing for years, but that's really the case with a lot of games, and definitely sports games. I think if you look at 2K for what it does have and instead of what it doesn't do, it's still a pretty good product overall. But they're kind of getting to that point now where instead of kind of building out some of those other areas in ways that people have been asking, they're adding go-kart racing and this other stuff to the game. And then it just kind of bogs the game down a little bit to the point where it's like, you know, sometimes less can be more. Like, let's dial it back a little bit and just make the best playing basketball game possible. And you could say the same thing with Madden, right? When they were experimenting with things like the yard and this and that, you know, I had fun with it. I thought it was cool, but at a certain point you say, hey, maybe we should just dial it back a little bit and just make the best football game possible. And if we want to do, you know, some arcade elements and some other things, let's just make a separate game and just see how that does. It might not sell as well, but, you know, there's like a balance where you can make that work. And I thought 2K had a really good opportunity here. Since they couldn't make simulation, they could have really made a banger of an arcade style game, and it just never happened. And right now, hearing that it's kind of paused, that doesn't mean it's not going to come out. By the way, Mike Straw said that it still may very well come out because they've obviously been working on something. So if you put a lot of time and money into something, you'd eventually like to see it come out if possible. So that still is a possibility. But the bigger thing here is because of how things have unfolded, there's a lot less likelihood of the NFL trusting them to make a simulation game now, because, you know, it's just been kind of a rough patch getting even the arcade game out, and the only one they did put out was mobile, and it wasn't received well, and it's been shut down. So that's really the recent update here. It looks like EA is more kind of in the lead than ever with re-upping the exclusive license, although it hasn't happened yet, so anything's possible until it happens. It still hasn't been renewed, and again, the 2K game, although it hasn't come out, it still very well could one day, but this is just kind of where we stand as of right now. Now, we recently just got a teaser trailer for the upcoming College Football 26 and Madden 26 game, and if you want to see a breakdown of all the little hidden things they put in that, make sure to check out this video right here on the screen.